The Israeli leadership say that they want peace. For example, listen to this guy.
Israel does not seek a full-scale war. We have made our desire for peace clear to all those who are not blinded by hatred and political agendas.
That is the more important war. The Israelis continue bombing all of its neighbors. They have been bombing Syria and Lebanon and surrounding countries for years, all without any condemnation, all without anything being done to stop them. But now when they have intensified their bombing of Lebanon, the world is paying more attention. But they are not only doing that. What they are doing is they are continuing to try to subjugate millions of Palestinians in the West Bank, making their lives living hell through dispossession and military law and murder, mass murder in instances, through apartheid, and not to mention what they're doing in Gaza, killing tens of thousands of civilians and starving millions of people. These people like this ambassador, they are here to wage another war, and that is the war of words. The Israelis are going to continue to try to paint themselves as some sort of victims, and they are going to try to continue to paint themselves as people who desire peace. But in reality, what they desire is subjugation. They want the Palestinian people to stop resisting, and if you want to see the proof of that, you can go and read Bezalel Smotrich, who is the Israeli finance minister. You can go and read his plan for the future, and you will see what he means, what he desires. These people don't want peace. To them, peace is complete subjugation of the Palestinian people, complete apartheid. Their version of peace is the same version of peace that a slave owner during the period of the North American slavery had. They just want the slaves to shut up and stop rebelling so the master can have peace. Or the type of peace that the South African apartheid government wanted in South Africa. They just want the natives to stop rebelling and accept that they are an inferior human being so the masters can have peace. When Israelis speak of peace, that is what they want. They want to continue to impose apartheid on the people, on the Palestinian people in the West Bank easily, without any resistance. They want to continue to ethnically cleanse the land without resistance. To Israelis, peace is no resistance despite what they do. That is what they want, except they mask their intentions in order to make themselves look like the victims by word peace. It's just a scam. It is war of the words. Why does this matter to me? As an American, this matters to me because these people have been using us for decades. They have been infiltrating our government for decades and using the American people, taking money from the American people, money that we don't have, in order to fund brutal occupation and murder of innocent civilians, all kinds of injustice, while we here can't pay for our own health care, and they over there, despite doing what they're doing, have free health care and cheap higher education. Not only that, they have been using the American people, the American service member, as cannon fodder for years by making our government or pressuring our government to send our sons and daughters overseas in order to fight and kill and die and return home with broken minds for their benefit. This is Benjamin Netanyahu. Look at what he says. He is the one that has always pushed our government into war. Listen to what he says.
If you take away the Soviet Union and its chief proxy, the PLO, international terrorism would collapse.
If you take out Saddam's regime, I guarantee you that it will have enormous positive reverberations on the region. Obviously, we like to see a regime change, at least I would, in Iran, just as I would like to see in Iraq. The question now is a practical question. It's not a question of whether Iraq's regime should be taken out, but when should it be taken out? It's not a question of whether you'd like to see a regime change in Iran, but how do it...
Are there any other nations that you would recommend that the United States launch preemptive attacks upon at this point?
The answer is categorically yes, is Iraq and Iran. But a third nation, by the way, is Libya as well. Libya is trying very rapidly to build an atomic bomb capability. So you have here now...
That is him. The same man who now says that Iran is a threat, that we have to deal with Iran. He's been saying that about Iraq and Libya and even Iran for decades. He is the reason why American people send their children to Libya, why we bomb Libya, why we send our children to Iraq. And if you think that it's not, look, listen to this guy. This is General Wesley Clark. He is a United States general, and listen to his experience if you think that Benjamin Netanyahu didn't achieve anything by saying that to the Congress. Listen to this.
Right after 9/11, about 10 days after 9/11, I went through the Pentagon and I saw Secretary Rumsfeld and Deputy Secretary Wolfowitz. I went downstairs just to say hello to some of the people on the Joint Staff who used to work for me, and one of the generals called me in. He said, "Sir, you got to come in. You got to come in and talk to me a second." I said, "Well, you're too busy." He said, "No." He says, "We've made the decision. We're going to war with Iraq." This was on or about the 20th of September. I said, "We're going to war with Iraq. Why?" He said, "I don't know." He said, "I guess they don't know what else to do." So I said, "Well, did they find some information connecting Saddam to Al-Qaeda?" He said, No. He says, "There's nothing new that way. They just made the decision to go to war with Iraq." He said, "I guess it's like we don't know what to do about terrorists, but we've got a good military and we can take down governments." And he said, "I guess if the only tool you have is a hammer, every problem has to look like a nail." So I came back to see him a few weeks later, and by that time we were bombing in Afghanistan. I said, "Are we still going to war with Iraq?" And he said, "Oh, it's worse than that." He said, he reached over on his desk, he picked up a piece of paper, and he said, I just got this down from upstairs," meaning the Secretary of Defense's office today, and he said, "This is a memo that describes how we're going to take out 7 countries in 5 years, starting with Iraq and then Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and finishing off Iran."
So that is General Wesley Clark. All the nations that he listed did nothing to us. They posed no threat to us, but they did pose threat to Israel. If you are an American, you have to understand that the biggest enemy to the United States of America is in fact Israel. They have attacked us before. You can look up Lavon affair. You can look up USS Liberty. The right-wing government of Israel is made up of true racists, people like Bezalel Smotrich and Itamar Ben-Gvir and Benjamin Netanyahu and their supporters in the settler movement. All of them are colonialist, racists, and they are brutal people who have nothing in common with us. Look, if you are an American, look at how this started from the beginning, and you will see that Israel is not a victim. The way Israel was founded is a bunch of illegal immigrants to the tune of 7.5% of the population of Palestine. If you look under the British mandate, the illegal immigration into Palestine was 7.5% of the population. And to understand that in American terms, imagine if year after year, 63 million illegal immigrants came to the United States of America annually for several years. And then when they arrived here, they decided that they want their own country, and they said, "Okay, we'll just split America. That's a reasonable proposition. You guys can have everything east of Colorado, and we'll take everything west of Colorado." And some people will say, "Well, no, the British gave it to them." Imagine if Chinese invaded us, occupied us, and then started bringing 63 million Chinese immigrants into the United States annually. And then those immigrants decided that they wanted their own country now and that they're in charge. Everybody has the right to resist that. That's how it all started. And then when the American people resist, they will say, "Well, these people, they just want war and all we want is peace." No, what you want is subjugation. Because I'm an American, I know that everybody has the right to defend their homes. This is how we are raised here. And this is the right thing to do. So we as American people should not be supporting Israel by any stretch of imagination. Read George Washington's farewell address, and you will understand just because somebody is pretending to be your friend, that does not necessarily mean that they are.